From only having 2 more fights left on his contract to his prime years almost being up, fans may be seeing the last of Conor McGregor in the UFC. Let's begin with how the dude has definitely dropped a hint or two about his retirement, like him discussing what he would do in case he retired. As you all know, the Irishman's set to be going against 3-time Bellator lightweight champion Michael Chandler sometime in late 2023.
Benson Henderson.
And I could watch these guys fight every night, but it was that big left hand and then a right hand on top of the head that knocks Benson Henderson out the first time he's been knocked out in 6 years. That was a big performance by Michael Chandler, getting a win he needed. That is knockout power.
It's been way too long, and honestly, fans including myself can't wait. This fight will be McGregor's second to last under his UFC contract, but it doesn't appear like he'll end his career in combat sports at that point. The Notorious said in response to Francis Ngannou leaving the company that to go out and have sort of little side mission in order to grab some cash and make more clout wasn't really his cup of tea, because to him, the UFC has given him more than he could ever ask for. It's an organization he loves and he would want to go on for as long as he could. He hopes that after his 2 fights that are remaining in his contract, he can keep his hype up and bring more to the UFC by signing a contract. So what's his main goal from here on out? According to him, it's being more consistent, and what he aspires for in this world is to have at least 100 additional bouts. As I said, consistency. That's his one attempt despite a few dreadful recent years. He added that the whole on and off scene had been bothering him for far too long, and it doesn't just include the injury side, it's the whole combat politics. And you know, Mystic Mac facing hate for the current USADA thing. But hey, such things are a part of life, aren't they? Crappy things happen. And that's a Conor special, right? To make the best out of the bad bargains. He's eager to make a comeback for now and shut all the haters up. And to top things off, McGregor declared that he'll make 2 UFC appearances this year. He was talking to Ariel Helwani on an MMA Hour broadcast in mid-March, when the Irishman explained again how he'd like to stay associated with the UFC. And even though there isn't a fixed date as of now, one of the 2 remaining fights is going to be against Chandler once The Ultimate Fighter 31 finishes airing. Plus, McGregor affirmed that the whole process was going to go rather quickly, because frankly, even though there is a lot of preparation going on in the background, there's no apparent reason for it not to proceed quickly, unless he decides to ride a bike again. Please don't, Conor. Anyway, I guess it'll be toward the end of summer, but it's gonna be great, of course. There is still this whole year to go. Other than that, you already know UFC boss Dana White would obviously want to keep his golden boy. He said on the March 9th broadcast of the Pat McAfee show that there was still a lot of work to be done on the Conor fight, so I'm guessing Conor will get to work on his consistency, because he does get that special treatment after all. And Dana doesn't even hide it, because there's a very specific reason for that. He's been the sport's top spectator attraction. 4 of the top 5 UFC pay-per-views in terms of sales are made up of fights featuring the former 2-division champion. And according to Dana White, no one else deserves it more, because I think you all can agree on one thing. The Notorious literally made UFC as relevant as it is today. The UFC president explained in a sitting with DC that the former 2-division champion receives such treatment because he would take any fighter, any day, anytime, even if the odds go against him. And not just that, making every fight a money fight gotta add to something, no? So to sum it up, he gets treated special because he is special. And regarding Dana giving him a contract, you already know how it's gonna go. Even after being out of action, the guy has gained more attention than many fighters. And yeah, it was more because of legal troubles, but you get the point. And as I mentioned, he wants to put all the slump behind him. But lightweight champion Islam Makhachev argues that McGregor's unfit to face Chandler. The Dagestani remarked that he doesn't see Conor even taking the fight. Why? Because the guy's been drinking too much and the lush life has basically made him lazy. I mean, I would do the same if I was that rich. No offense. But again, a 20-month break isn't a joke. Except if you're John Jones.
That's what Jones wants, to be the first man in the UFC to stop Quentin Rampage Jackson. Looking to do it right here, looking to finish this fight.
Quentin's trying to pry it off.
John Jones has defended his UFC light heavyweight championship. He stops Quentin Rampage Jackson. Wow.
So there's definitely got to be some ring rust for the notorious Conor McGregor. But Mystic Mac seems more than ready. He kind of even hinted in a tweet that nothing matters to him more than fighting, as he basically runs the show. And all he's been doing was focusing on his recovery and training. While McGregor was talking to Helwani about all this, he was questioned about why he wanted to keep fighting, given that he would turn 35 in July. Conor replied with one word: competition. Ah yes, the one thing that charges a man better than any drug. Well, maybe not in Conor's case. Get it? Anyway, he said that his love for competing with the best was one thing that was keeping him going. In fact, Mystic Mac went as far as to say that he was addicted to it, and yeah, that's really it. Not the only thing you're addicted to, Conor. PEDs. I'm kidding. He definitely isn't gonna pee a hole through that US88 cup. But back to McGregor's future. Did you know all this retirement teasing isn't his first time? As much as there's a fighting history, the man also has a retirement history. McGregor declared his retirement in 2016, just a day before his second Nate fight. But little did fans know it was a one-day thing. Other than that, McGregor made a teasing about quitting the sport in March 2019, after losing the Khabib fight, a violent brawl both inside and outside the cage. Because of the Irishman's involvement in the crazy scenario, he was suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. At the time, McGregor's retirement was attributed to his desire to acquire an ownership part in the UFC, according to UFC President Dana White. McGregor was also coping at this time with a number of legal problems. So, you're saying this is nothing to be worried about? Wait, you thought I was done? Conor has had more retirements than he has won fights in the last 3 years. Which reminds me of another occasion, where at the UFC 250 in 2020, McGregor announced yet another retirement, stealing the show once more. To start the year, he had recently defeated Donald Cerrone, and he was prepared to battle his way back to the top of the lightweight class. McGregor desired to observe the outcome of a matchup between Nurmagomedov and Justin Gaethje, the interim lightweight title at the time. The negotiations failed, and with the publication of private conversations between McGregor and White on social media, McGregor chose to employ a strategy that was all too common. But anyway, let's hope this Chandler fight goes on well, or else you know what's coming, and it may be for real this time. But who knows? Anything can happen at the end of the day. It's also rumored that if McGregor's to beat Chandler, his last fight in the contract may just be what the fans want, a trilogy with Nate Diaz. And maybe that would be one of the best exits. Having said that, this was all for the Conor retirement rumors.